I have had quite a lot of people asking for my head-to-head review between the 2020 HP Omen and the Asus Zephyrus G14. Well, here it is. I have run each of these laptops through 14 plus creator-focused benchmarks covering video editing in Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve, motion design, graphic design, photo editing, 3D modeling, and a whole lot more.
Let's get rocking!
If you're new to the channel, my name is Benji Kaiser. This is where you're going to find the best tech and tools for creative professionals. If you're curious about the exact pricing of either of these models as we're heading through the video, you can head down in the description below and click one of those links. Now, if you do make a purchase through one of those links, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you, and that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. As always, let's get right into the build quality. Both laptops have very different appearances. First off, I am so happy that HP decided to redesign the Omen 15. As it is definitely more suitable to be taken seriously in those client meetings. It has a deep gray matte top cover and iridescent shape, while the Asus Zephyrus G14 totes a matte white LED infused top cover. Both look great, but I must say that the Asus Zephyrus is a little bit fancier with those LED lights. Concerning the build quality, my vote swings toward the Zephyrus G14 with its all aluminum top cover, bottom cover, and keyboard deck. The HP Omen contains some aluminum as well, but it is only found on the keyboard deck. So as far as tough is concerned, the G14 is the tougher of the two laptops. Regarding the ports on each of these laptops, I've always encouraged people to think about their own use cases. The latest and greatest ports are great, but only if they fit your needs. So observe the ports shown here and choose wisely. Now, I will point out that I definitely like the SD card slot on the HP Omen as far as a creator is concerned. It makes it a lot easier to load in your footage with an SD card rather than carrying around a pesky dongle all the time. As I open the lid on each of these laptops, I am able to do so with one hand. The hinges are smooth and strong. There's only a slight bit of screen flex that is equally present on the Zephyrus G14 and the HP Omen. Both are solid and sturdy, but due to the G14's smaller chassis, it tends to feel a little less wobbly. What about the ventilation on each of these laptops? Both the Zephyrus G14 and the HP Omen have generous vents for cooling. They both have vents on the bottom cover, behind the keyboard deck, and side panels. The HP Omen only has one on the right side panel, and the G14 having it on both side panels. However, the HP Omen also has a vent on the top of the keyboard deck and a much more substantial vent on the bottom cover as well, which we will find later in this video increases the ability for it to run cooler than the G14. Now, how noisy are these fans and how well do they do cooling the laptops during the benchmark test coming up later in the video? Well, at idle, the HP Omen did not produce noticeable fan noise, whereas the G14 gets a little bit louder at 43 decibels and remains there for the most part while doing some light web browsing. The HP Omen kicks on the fan during the web browsing and it will produce around 45 decibels of noise. During the 4K video editing export in Premiere Pro, the HP Omen ramps up to a 59 decibels during the export, and the Zephyrus G14 gets a smidge louder at 60 decibels. During the DaVinci Resolve export, the fans on the HP Omen were at 65 decibels, and the G14 was at about 59 decibels. Now for the Photoshop benchmark test, the HP Omen was at around 45 to 64 decibels, depending on the task it was performing in the test, and the G14 was at 61 decibels on average throughout the entire test. Now to check how well the fans did cooling the components during these different tests, here are the benchmark results. As you can see from the test, those beefy fans on the HP Omen do a lot to keep the components cooler than the G14. The HP Omen 15 comes with a 15.6-inch Full HD 16:9 display that can reach 60 Hz refresh rate and can reach 200 nits at full brightness. Now, it does have a 66% sRGB, 49% Adobe RGB, and 49% DCI-P3. Now, you might be saying, well, other reviews online that I've been seeing say this laptop can get 99% sRGB and 75% Adobe RGB. And that is correct if you have the 144 Hz version of this laptop. So whenever you're purchasing the laptop, make sure you double check the specs in the product description. Now, I will try and find the 60 Hz model that I'm reviewing, but up until this point, I've yet to be able to find that. So I will definitely link as many options as I can find in the description below. However, the G14 really steps it up in this category. The Asus Zephyrus G14 comes with a 14-inch Full HD 16:9 display that can reach 120 Hz. At full brightness, it can reach 330 nits with a Pantone-validated color gamut range of 96% sRGB, 75% Adobe RGB, and 76% DCI-P3, all at an average Delta E of 1.27. Really great work on that one, Asus. I must say, for the price to performance, this laptop is really solid. The keyboard on the Zephyrus G14 is good. It has a nice, firm, snappy key press and a suitable layout. I enjoy the layout a lot as there are not a lot of extra keys that I personally tend to get in my way. I will point out that there are substantial light leaks on the sides of the keys, inconsistent backlighting showing through the keys, and in the dark, the silver-gray contrast is a little tough to see when typing. But if you took a typing class in college like I did, then there's no need to look at the keyboard, right? So how it feels beneath your fingers is the only thing that really matters. Well, I'll let that be up to you. As I turn my focus towards the HP Omen, it is easy to pick a clear winner between these two keyboards. The HP Omen comes with a soft touch matte finish on the keys that feels very nice beneath my fingers. The backlighting on the keys is excellent, and the firm, snappy, quiet key press is most agreeable. Both the Asus Zephyrus G14 and the HP Omen come with all-in-one trackpads. However, the HP Omen has an excellent matte finish that feels slightly tacky beneath my fingers as I drag my finger across. To me, this feels great while conducting video edits, designing in Adobe's design suite, and more. So personally, I'm going to lean towards the HP Omen for getting the trackpad award during this head-to-head battle. If you're needing a laptop to attend virtual meetings, then you are going to want to select the HP Omen as it is the only one with a 720p webcam in this head-to-head battle. Concerning the on-the-go capability of these two laptops, the Asus Zephyrus G14 weighs in at 3.53 pounds at a thickness of 0.7 inches, whereas the HP Omen weighs in at 5.43 pounds at a thickness of 0.89 inches. Concerning the battery life, the Asus Zephyrus G14 will get roughly 9.5 hours of web browsing and about 6 to 7 hours of design and video editing out of its 76 watt-hour battery, whereas the HP Omen will get roughly 5 to 6 hours of web browsing and 3 to 4 hours of design and video editing with its 70.9 watt-hour battery. If you're enjoying this video and getting some value, gently press down on that like button and let me know how you plan on using this laptop by dropping a comment below. If you want more content like this in the future, then make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of the future uploads. Okay, let's get back into this video. On to the main event, the performance benchmarking test between the Asus Zephyrus G14 and the 2020 HP Omen 15. The Asus Zephyrus G14 I'm reviewing comes with the AMD Ryzen 9 4900HS with 8 cores and 16 threads, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 Max-Q with 6 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM and 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and a 1TB NVMe SSD. The 2020 HP Omen 15 comes with the AMD Ryzen 7 4800H with 8 cores and 16 threads, the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti with 6 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and 256 gigs of solid-state hard drive. Jumping right into the 3D modeling test, let's take a look at how these two laptops handle Autodesk and a few other programs. For Autodesk 3ds Max, the G14 scored a 136.15 and the HP Omen scored a 131.45. For Autodesk Maya, the G14 scored a 158.43 and the HP Omen a 155.32. For PTC Creo, the G14 nailed a 129.16 and the HP Omen a 116.63. And lastly, SolidWorks, the G14 snagged a 71.36 and the HP Omen a 69.06. 3D modeling was a close battle and both laptops performed pretty much the same, so not a huge difference there. Moving on to motion design, I'm using Puget Systems After Effects. Moving on to motion design, I'm using Puget Systems After Effects Benchmark and the After Effects Render Benchmark. Per the chart, you can see that the Zephyrus G14 pulled slightly ahead of the HP Omen, but not by much. The Zephyrus G14 scoring a 775 over the HP Omen's 744. Things change a little bit when looking at the After Effects render test results. The Asus Zephyrus G14 was able to put a little space between these two laptops by scoring a 615 and the HP Omen snagging a 498. This is due to the G14's beefier RTX 2060 Max-Q GPU. Just before moving on to the video editing test, let's take a look to see how well these two laptops perform in Adobe's design suite by benchmarking them with the Puget Systems Photoshop benchmark. Both laptops perform well, capturing an equally suitable middle of the charts spot, making each of these laptops a great fit for the Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign apps. But do note that the G14 was able to pull off a little better score by snagging a 688 over the HP Omen's 579. All right, now onto my favorite benchmarks, video editing. First, I'm going to start off with a playback test. For this test, I'm going to take a 9-minute 4K clip, add some motion design graphics, and then play it back in the timeline at full quality. This full clip contains 16,177 frames in total, with 7,240 of those frames being motion graphics. The Zephyrus G14 can play back full quality 4K footage in the Premiere Pro timeline with only 3 dropped frames. Now, during these tests, the HP Omen saw a few more drop frames, and by a few, I mean at full quality, it dropped 1,185 frames, at half quality, it dropped 126 frames, but at fourth quality, it dropped 0 frames. Considering that I was only running Premiere Pro during these tests, you may see slightly higher drop frame rates while multitasking, but you can easily switch to half or fourth quality to continue to get smooth playback in the timeline. Concerning the rendering of the motion design effects, I was able to render out the 7,240 frames in just 3 minutes and 6 seconds using the Zephyrus G14, and only a bit slower at 3 minutes and 45 seconds with the HP Omen. Both are impressive times for that render test. Moving on to the 4K export test, I'm going to take a 9-minute 4K clip, place it into Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve, then export both out at 1080p and 4K YouTube settings. Now do note that I am using the free version of DaVinci Resolve, as that may make a difference for you with the paid version. The G14 was able to do the 4K to 4K export in 3 minutes and 2 seconds, and the HP Omen in 4 minutes and 13 seconds. The 4K to 1080p out of Premiere Pro took the G14 2 minutes and 43 seconds, and the HP Omen 3 minutes and 14 seconds. For the DaVinci Resolve 4K to 4K export, the G14 took 7 minutes and 55 seconds, and the HP Omen did that same export in 9 minutes and 3 seconds. For the 4K to 1080p export out of DaVinci Resolve, the G14 scored a 4 minutes and 23 seconds, and the HP Omen with 4 minutes and 21 seconds. Now regarding the thermal performance during the 4K video edit, you can see that the Zephyrus G14 is running at 87 degrees Celsius during the stabilized temps, and the HP Omen is running cooler at 78 degrees Celsius. This is due to the fans running a bit harder and that big ol' vent under the bottom cover of the HP Omen. All right, now here you can see the component usage of each of these laptops during the benchmark tests. And if you're curious the difference between the Ryzen 9 4900HS and the Ryzen 7 4800H, here are the Geekbench and Cinebench R20 scores. If you're looking for a high-performance all-aluminum Ryzen 9 laptop with a solid color accuracy, great benchmarks in all of the tests performed, and a distinguished build quality, then I would pick up the Asus Zephyrus G14. However, if you're looking for a laptop that runs cool but is a little noisy while getting great benchmark results in Photoshop, video editing, 3D modeling, and motion design, all packed within a laptop with one of the best keyboard and trackpad combinations I have ever felt on a gaming laptop, nestled inside an aluminum keyboard deck, then I would consider picking up the HP Omen 15. If you're curious about the exact pricing or you're ready to make a purchase of either of these models, you can head down in the description below and click one of those links. Now, if you do make a purchase through that link, we'll get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you, and that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. If you're curious about more videos regarding the G14 or the HP Omen, you can click or tap the screen over here. Otherwise, keep editing, keep designing, keep creating. I'm Benji Kaiser, and I'll see you here in the next video.